So back in October of 2018, my life was pretty different. I remember being so busy, working long hours, so much traffic, and I was always missing the time that I was losing with my husband and my baby. Um, but that's when I first noticed the lump. It was the size of a dime, and 2 weeks later, it was the size of a quarter. So in December, I went to the emergency room in Lawrenceville without insurance. And the doctor diagnosed me with a breast cyst and stated that it would go away on its own. But I immediately felt judged and brushed off. I know I was treated differently because I had no insurance. And they didn't run any blood work, no scans, no tests. And I went to home to my husband, and I was so angry, like I cried from like the anger. And soon after, I switched to a job that was closer to my mother here in Woodstock, and it gave me more time to be with my family. I was excited. I was part of a bigger company now. I was doing so well, but that lump was always on the back of my mind, like it was haunting me, and it was growing and becoming more and more painful. By the end of March 2019, the lump was the size of a tennis ball, and I couldn't bear it anymore. I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't hungry, I was just worried all the time. My husband finally said that we should leave our son with my mom and go to the emergency room. I immediately saw the concern on all the staff's face. Uh, they immediately sent me to a special breast cancer specialist surgeon. The next morning. I skipped work to go to my appointment, and the concern on everyone's face was there once again. I immediately met Dr. Rhonda Walksmith, and she moved so fast. The next day, I had a small surgery to drain what they initially thought was an infection to try to relieve the pressure that was causing the pain. So, a week later, on April 1st of 2019, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I had gone to that appointment by myself, actually. Um, I was immediately shocked. I didn't know what to think, but I quickly felt the fear of not knowing what was going to happen next. I was only 26 years old. I had no family history of cancer, and my genetics test was clear. There was no reason why I should have this. Um, but you know, I didn't know what to do next, and Dr. Walksmith immediately knew what to do, and I completely put my faith and my life in her hands. I called my husband and my brothers to tell them. I told my mom in person. My brothers and my husband left work early. You know, my mother cried, my husband cried, my brothers cried, because it was really completely unexpected, and lots of my family, they didn't, it was really hard for them to accept it was like almost impossible. um but the next day I met Dr. Ming Chi. I went where they told me to go and saw who told me to see. I had appointments every single day, back to back. I had to quit my job, and I became a full-time cancer patient. um I started chemo on April 12th, and my husband and my mother were the ones that would take care of me. It's like I was a toddler again. I was feeling so terrible, and it was truly one of the worst things in the world. But the chemo did its thing. The lump was getting smaller, and soon I was ready for surgery. So in September of 2019, I had a double mastectomy and the first set of lymph nodes removed on my left side by Dr. Walksmith. I had expanders put in by my new plastic surgeon, and the rest of me was sent for a biopsy. That's when they found the new cancer. It had mutated, it was a new string, and it turns out that while we were fighting one cancer, there was another one growing. Of course, I didn't know what to think or what to do. Never at any point did I blame anyone or anything for my cancer. I always thought this is just a phase, just something to get through. But I was truly at a point where I couldn't bear it anymore. I couldn't cope. and I started seeing a therapist. And after that, I started having pain in my chest, and I had blood in my drain tubes. I spoke with my plastic surgeon's office, and once again, I felt like I wasn't being listened to. They would tell me to be aware of negative side effects and signs, and when I would report those signs to the office, they would brush off my symptoms, saying things like, everyone heals differently, people are sensitive to their own smell. And because I wasn't listened to, I ended up being hospitalized for sepsis in October. I was, I guess I'd say I was like really upset and disappointed. I honestly expected more from that doctor. You know, he was responsible for my health. And I went through chemo again by the end of October, and it was worse than the last time. The medicines were a whole lot stronger. But, you know, then I started radiation in January of 2020 at WellStar. I had lots of issues with that office. I finally spoke up for myself, and once again, I wasn't listened to. I felt like I was being treated differently for speaking up, and I was handled roughly, and it was painful. My appointments were rescheduled without notifying me. But finally, when I finished treatment, I decided from then on I was only going to see Northside Hospital doctors and whoever they recommended. I was having so much bad luck with my health. I went to physical therapy for my post-op chest and arm pain, but the insurance would only cover a certain number of days. I seemed to be doing well if I was in therapy, but by the time the days were up, I hadn't done any strength training. I was still feeling pain in my arm, lots of cording. Um, and, you know, I thought I could do some strength training on my own. So I started going to the gym, but that ended as soon as COVID-19 hit. When the pain started coming back, I spoke to my oncologist assistant, and that's when I was referred to TurningPoint Breast Cancer Rehabilitation. But honestly, you know, I felt like I had failed because I had already gone through physical therapy, and I thought I had completed it, but obviously, you know, there were like lots of other issues that I was going through, and you know, I still needed help. But you know, I started going through to Turning Point in June of this year, and I was nervous and sad to be doing what I believe was starting all over. But it wasn't like that at all. It was actually a really good different. I felt welcomed as soon as I arrived, and everyone listened when I spoke. I never felt rushed, and even when I was told my insurance wasn't accepted, I was never turned away. Everyone really wanted to help me, and I look forward to every visit. The ladies here really make me feel like family, and they always make me laugh. And at the end of the day, I share with my husband, and we talk about our day and my appointments. Turning Points is truly one of my favorite visits. And today I'm still having issues with my health, but I believe that they are better with the people that I've surrounded myself with, people that are positive and supportive. A lot of those people include my husband, my family, and my healthcare team.